Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm bringing you one of the iconic Barolo wines in the world. This is the Cantina Bartolo Mascarello 2017 Barolo. This is one of two Mascarello wines which are very iconic in the Barolo region. The other one is Giuseppe Mascarello. There's no relationship, even though they have the same name, there's no relationship between Bartolo and Giuseppe. So this is Cantina Bartolo Mascarello 2017. The winery was started in about 1916, and Bartolo worked under his dad, and I think started working there in the 1940s, and then took over I think when his dad passed away in the 60s. Bartolo then passed away in 2005, and now the winery is managed by his daughter Maria Teresa. So he is known as one of the main opposition to modern winemaking. So when we talk about Barolo Wars, he's probably one of the top guys who created this so-called war. So he did not believe in modern techniques. So he only did things in the traditional Barolo way. What are these? He fermented with indigenous yeast in concrete vats instead of oak bottis. He did this without temperature control, and the aging was always done in neutral bottis, mostly Slavonian large barrels. He did not like oak on this. He thought this was completely not Barolo-like. And so one of the quotes he said is like, I don't make wines with fantasy names. I don't make crus. I don't make wines with barriques. My wines don't have any perfume of vanilla or Limousin oak. So he only makes one wine, basically a Barolo. His Barolos come from 4 different sites in Barolo. 3 of them come from the commune of Barolo, that's Canubi, San Lorenzo, and Ru, and then the 4th one is Rocca, which is in the Mora. So technically, a lot of other wineries might make single vineyard, San Lorenzo or Canubi wines, but he thought that's ridiculous. And this goes back to blending, and this happens in Scotch and in Bordeaux and things like that. His is a very traditional thinking, which is basically you get the best Barolo by blending different vineyards instead of separating it out. And that is a trend that was now with a lot of single cru. People like more distinctiveness. But his point was, in any given year, like 2017, there may be certain vineyard sites which are lacking something. And by being able to blend different vineyard sites or communes of grapes, you can kind of fill in things. And so you have a more consistent wine that's always good, instead of maybe 4 different wines of which certain ones are good and certain ones are bad. And there is something to this, because just like single malt whiskey, just like single vineyard cru, there's some argument to say this might be just a marketing thing, because people believe single cru is better and they get higher pricing. That's why Bartolo Mascarello, by and large, hasn't caught up as much in terms of it's not overpriced as much as some other Barolos. And that's a good thing for consumers in the know, because Bartolo Mascarello is one of the top Barolos anywhere in the world at any vintage. And so being able to drink this wine just because it's not single cru, it's a great advantage for people in the know and who understand Barolo. So to me, I'm glad he does this. I'm glad people want to drink single cru. If you gave me a choice with many single cru vineyards or bottlings of Barolo and this wine, I'd rather have this wine, because the quality of this wine is ridiculous. The sites are great. The winemaking style is excellent and traditional. And so it's aged 3 years in neutral oak and then another year in bottle. But this is one of the classic examples of Barolo and traditional Barolo. Made in concrete vats. There's no oak. There should be no oak on this at all. And it's just pure Barolo, pure Nebbiolo grape in its natural or traditional bottling. So I had this wine last night with some Greek food, lamb, some beef kebabs, and I thought it paired quite well. It does need time, but even as I'm sitting here, I can smell the wine. So it is a very aromatic wine. It actually, for 2017, is drinking quite nicely. 2017 wasn't an exceptional year in Barolo, and that's maybe why it drinks a little bit earlier. But some more exceptional years in Barolo, you might want to age the Bartolo Mascarello a little bit longer. So again, this is the second day that we've had this. On the first day, it tasted fine, but I believe that with more aeration and full aeration, it's going to be a little bit more aromatic and give more of the notes that it should. So on the smell, this is fully aerated now. Very classic Barolo, which means you got some floral components like violets, roses, and then you've got the kind of herbs, like Italian spices and herbs, and then the great black plums. So everything's there on this wine at this point, like dark fruits. The smell is quite aromatic and lovely, and this is what I think is really characteristic of Barolo. Almost, and that's why they call Barolo the Burgundy of Italy, because of the whole aromas of wines. I think they're more, in my mind, Barolos are more aromatic than Brunellos or Chiantis or Super Tuscans. They don't smell like anything else, and that's why I think they're called the Burgundy of Italy. On the taste, very classic Barolo, which is going to be dark fruit, but really dry, not sweet fruit. There is dark fruit, but it's not luscious, kind of juicy type fruit. I would say it's more almost like dried plums, figs, more herbaceous in terms of Italian spices like oregano. So that to me, it's a more savory taste than, let's say, Chianti, which would be much more fruit forward, like it with more cherries. This is almost tastes more like aged Barolo, but it's very fine in terms of the savory components. That's why I think I love Barolo as a drinking wine with food. It's very savory. It's quite dry in style and dried fruits. And right now, this is surprising because it's still, to me, quite a young wine, but the tannins are quite resolved. One of the issues I think a lot of times I have with Barolos that are really good Barolos and are young, there's so much tannin in them that it's very hard to get to this point. There's no aroma and there's no herbs or dried fruits in them. On the aftertaste, I'll say it hasn't developed as much as I think it could. I think that's where the aging will come in, when there be more tertiary flavors and secondary flavors that develop over time. I think the aftertaste right now is a little bit short, but I think that's more, not because of the wine quality, but I think it's more because of the age of this wine. I think it will develop a lot more with age. As I drink this now, so the intensity of fruit is good. I would say it's medium bodied, medium acidity. The tannin structure is also medium to medium plus, but the tannins hit you in the aftertaste. They don't really hit you that up front. So the first taste I had was a very light taste. It seemed almost, the tannins were lighter. This second taste that I've had now, the tannins come in the backward in the aftertaste. And now in the aftertaste, it's very long. It's got elements of tobacco and licorice in there, and some, it's almost like dried tea leaves. It's quite amazing to me that this wine, which is fairly young, has developed what I think are secondary taste profiles already, much more savory elements. So it's kind of almost tastes like an older Barolo. I know the color doesn't look it, but it tastes like an older Barolo, in my opinion. And so maybe that's the stylistically, that's how they've produced it, but it tastes old to me in a good way. This wine, I think, has a long way to go. I think it's very drinkable, delicious right now. I think it could go easily another 10 years on this, even though with this vintage, I don't think it's a great vintage. I think the Wine Spectator rating is 92, 93 points. I'm going to agree with it. I think it's 93 points. This is a very, very nice wine. Very classic representation of traditional Barolo. So this is, you know, along with the other wine, and I'll put it at the end of this video, Giuseppe Mascarello's Filetto. That's another, in my opinion, very traditional wine. These are two very good examples of traditional style Barolo. I can't think off the top of my head of a modern style Barolo maker. Maybe Giulio Negri, that's a pretty modern style. But, you know, this is, in terms of traditional Barolo, I think it's a great, if you can get this bottle, it's a great test for you to say, if you like this, then probably you like traditional style Barolo. I love this, and I love the taste of it. And again, what to me differentiates traditional style Barolo, there's not a lot of oak in there, but there's a lot of fragrant flowers, floral components, herbs, and dark fruits. The dark fruits are a little bit on the dry side. They're not luscious fruit. And then you get in the aftertaste licorice, some tea leaves or tobacco, and quite savory in terms of its whole approach. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy drinking.